message, and would you give a big welcome to Rev Grace? Thank you, Grace. Welcome along to Unity of Melbourne. Now, if you unmute, and we'll be on our way.
Yeah.
That's it. Yes.
Am I done?
Yes. No, you haven't even started. Welcome along, Grace.
Oh, thanks, Bill. It's lovely to be here. I can assure you that seeing all your lovely faces as they've been coming on has been most exciting for me. And I may not know everybody intimately, but there's lots of dear friend, long-standing friends that I'm seeing, and that's great. It's great to be here. I think most of you, I don't know how many of you know, but I broke my ankle very badly on the 20th of December last year. And it took literally 10 months for it to get nearly to the point where it's healed as much as it will be. And a lot of that time was spent in a moon boot and this and that and walking with a walker and wheelie walker and all that stuff. So it's really wonderful. I can now walk around without anything. And I can just have to be a bit careful going over rough ground, but I'm so grateful that it's this much healed. But it's had me off the air, literally, in so many ways. It's been unreal. I spent several months in hospital and so forth. So anyway, it's all done now as best as it can be, and I'm very grateful. And it's most exciting that we've got this quote that I put on the thing, and it was a card that actually Bill sent to me, a loving card he sent to me, had this quote on it. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. And that's a Rumi quote, and it's absolutely beautiful. The card, I don't know whether you can see the card. The card is gorgeous. I just love it. And it inspired me for this talk because we have been mostly brought up that we believe that we've got a concept of the whole ocean, and we grew up with it, that there was an ocean was there. But most of us grew up, and I think we need to be honest about this, with the idea that God was out there, and that God was a sort of person, and getting the idea that the creative energy is not a person is a new thing that we're all having to move through. Now, many of you there I know have been working with this stuff for ages. Some of you might be new, but the point is that we're working with a principle, a presence. And that first song by Karen Drucker, I just thought I might as well just, turn the television off and go home, you know what I mean? I turn the computer off and go home. I am home. But it was just so right on, because that's explaining how we really go. We've got this idea that we were brought up with, most of us were brought up with the idea of God being separate up there somewhere and judgmental. We have this idea of a judgmental sort of God, and and separate. When I was a little kid, I went to Sunday school when I was 3 because I wanted to play with the kids. And I'd just come back on a plane trip with my parents, with my mum actually, to Sydney. And I'd just come back to Melbourne, and I walked into the kindergarten room, and I saw this picture of a cloud sort of thing up there, and a couple of angels sitting on the cloud. And I can't remember whether Jesus was there or not. I can't remember that, but I can remember these angels there. And I walked in thinking, I've just flown through the clouds and I didn't see any fat old angels. And so I started to disbelieve in the whole concept when I was 3. And I know that that came from my basic understanding. The idea of creative energy of the universes is that it is energy, not a person. The thing is that we've got the whole idea of it being a judgmental sort of person, haven't we? just nod quietly if you happen to know what I'm talking about. Because most of us have had this idea of a sort of judgmental person sitting up there on a cloud going, oh, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad, judging what's going on. But the thing is that we can't know. The person is limited. See, I can only see what I can see in my environment. I can only see the people that I can see. I can only see the trees that I can see. You know, I can't see oak trees. I look out there and see gum trees. You know, I can't do that. And so the personal view is very, very limited. And the thing is that the idea of being the creative energy that creates the universes and continues to create the universes and creates everything is much, much bigger and not at all personal. We know about energy. We really do. People say, oh, well, I don't understand all this energy business. And I'm rabbiting on about creative energy all the time. But we know that our heart's beating. You just stop for a minute. You can feel it beating. You know it's beating. That's energy. You're breathing, aren't you? I think everybody there is breathing. And that's energy moving. It's the energy moving in with the breath, moving around the body. Energy is moving the blood and everything inside us. It's energy going on. The lights, I've got a light on here, you know, and that's energy, and it's coming and it's helping me and it's doing its job. And the fridge is working. That's got energy. And the water's coming in and out of the taps when I turn it on and off. And the hot water system, we've got a hot water system, have we? We must have, because we've got hot water somewhere. That's all energy. And the car and the birds, you know, the birds, that's all energy, they're using it. And the petrol pump, everything is energy happening. So we're getting it that we're totally surrounded by and involved in energy. And it was very difficult for us to learn that as little kids. And getting that we're totally that energy has to be a daily practice, because it's just something very, very new for most of us. Now, there may be a few very young people who see this, I doubt it, who have been brought up to believe that everything is energy. But most of us that I can see were brought up to believe that it was something else. And then we can see that we're, the energy is the creative energy that I'm talking about. And it's in us. We've got that. It's as us. And it's within everything and everyone. We're totally in this energetic activity of the universe, expanding, growing, changing, moving. And you think about it, we've all seen plenty of space stuff in our time nowadays. And you think about how huge that is, and we're all part of it. I can remember flying back in a dream, in a vision sort of thing that I had in a plane, and I was coming back to land, but I had this vision of coming through the universe and coming into the environment of the earth. And I think many people have had that experience in an actual plane, getting the idea of what the astronauts saw and what have you. So I'm growing into a higher version of myself all the time. The daily words always are convincing us that we need to work with ourselves and create new ways of thinking and being. This one about getting the universal energy is a very big leap of thinking, isn't it? Does everyone agree with me? Wave your hands if you agree that it's a big, big leap of thinking. And we have to keep doing it on a daily basis. I'm growing into a higher version of myself. It was a daily word for some time ago, a couple of years ago, but I've kept it because I really love it. I am growing into a greater version of myself. Godness is all. That's what I'm remembering. I'm remembering creative energy. Godness is all. I am growing into a greater version of myself, which doesn't mean to say that we have to destroy our old self. It just means to say we need to expand. And the word heaven, by the way, comes from the Greek word for expansion. The word heaven means expansion. And so if we're going to go to the kingdom of heaven, or we're living in the kingdom of heaven, or whatever, well, it means we're living in expansion. So it's natural for us to expand our awareness into the energy that is present everywhere equally. And so I create new ways of growing. I'm growing into a greater version of myself. The growth of a tree begins with a seed. Each seed has within it the blueprint of the tree and everything it needs to express the tree fully grown. Yet each tree requires just the right amount of warmth, water, and sunlight to sprout, to take root, and to grow into its potential. Every day I'm also growing into a greater version of myself. Beyond the obvious growth of my physical self, I am continuously and infinitely growing in spirit. Every human has within him the imprint of all the attributes and qualities of godness, including the capacity for limitless growth. I do my part to ensure that I have the nourishment I need to support my own development. As I grow, I express more of my divine potential. Isn't that great? And we do it daily, like the plants. Everything is growing daily. So if I can focus my attention each day on the idea that my understanding of creative energy is growing, that's the only thing I really need to do. If I decide that I'm going to have a day where I realize that the infinite wisdom of the universe is showing itself to me and I can be available to find it, that's all I really need to do. So we might as well go home now. but the point is that we don't do it very much. I'm growing into a higher version of myself is another lovely daily word thing that I came across, an old one. And in it, it says, I create new ways of thinking and being. And I'm created in the image of my creator. Well, that's making it sound as if it's just one. I'm made in the image of the creative energy. I am energy. You see, we've got to get it. We are energy. Every bit of us is energy. I'm created in the image of my creator, and as such, I have the God-given gift of creativity within me. This power gives me the ability to imagine and create new experiences. I'm free to create new thoughts, feelings, and responses to life. I transcend old ways of thinking to generate new ideas and way of being. Just because I've always thought or acted a certain way does not mean I have to continue the pattern. We don't have to believe everything that we've been brought up to believe and that we've made a habit of. We can change our habits. Being present and mindful helps me pay attention to what I'm thinking and how those thoughts make me feel and act. So it's all about our thinking, isn't it? I think Charles Fillmore might agree with me on that one. And it's about our thinking. And if we keep on thinking the same old thing and the same old thing and the same old thing, we're going to get the same old thing. But we really have to open our thinking to think of something more adventurous and something that is more expansive. Being present and mindful helps me pay attention to what I am thinking and how those thoughts make me feel and act. Of course, I spend a lot of time, I've done an awful lot of therapy with people on unfurling their inner goodness and all their happiness and stuff out of being miserable. And of course, when we look at the stuff that we've been habitually thinking, it's really quite ridiculous. It really is silly. And so when we can get to see that we don't have to keep thinking about ourselves as limited the way we are, you see, with this broken ankle, for goodness sake, if I think of myself as always limping or being the way I was when I was in the moon boot, I'd stay there. But I didn't. While I was in the moon mood, I had to be thinking about how one day I was going to be able to walk around normally. Well, now it's not quite perfect, but it's doing a heck of a lot better. And now I'm practicing the balance and the strengthening, and it's all getting better and better. And so we have to keep going with improving our thinking. Now, just because we thought we're thinking, I have an insight into myself so I can not acknowledge how I am creating my experience, then make changes. When I create new ways of thinking, I develop opportunities for growth. So let's just think about that whole concept just for a minute or two, not a long meditation. Just think about it. Just stop. New ways of thinking. New ways of expanding awareness. There are so many things we can think of if we just take a moment or two here and there. When I did that, I just thought about, oh, I can be more aware of the grass, the differences in the grasses outside. That's something. It's just little things. It doesn't matter what they are, but as long as we know that they're expansive, that helps us grow into this heavenly knowledge that we've got. Now, how do we practice it? There's many ways. One of the ways I'd like to share with you, and I think it's really important, is a very basic thing that Myrtle and Charles Fillmore came up with in the early days of Unity. And Myrtle was very, very, very clear that this was the way to help change our minds. And it's called denials and affirmations. Now, the big thing that Myrtle said, and said it very clearly, and I know you know this, Sylvia, too, very, very, very clearly, that we must do the denial of the power of the old thought before we put in the power of the new thought. And so many times people are running around this planet going on and on about affirmations. The thing is that I'm with Myrtle on this, that before we can really do the affirmation, we need to have the denial of the power of the thing that we're wanting to let go of. Most of the things that we're not aware of, how many nasty separating thoughts we have per day. But if we want to get into the denial thing of them, we need to find them and just notice them as they come up and say, oops, no power. Now, we're not saying that we haven't got the thought, haven't had the thought. We're saying there is no power in that thought. If I think I'm so short, I'm only 5 feet tall, whatever that is in centimeters, I have no idea. But if I think I'm so short, I can never reach the top kitchen cupboard. Well, that's true. I can't. However, I look at having a footstool so I can jump up and do it. I expand my awareness to say, yes, I can manage to do it if I get a footstool. It's very simple. We can do that with all of our thoughts. If we don't like them, they're not having us be happy, we can deny the power of that thought. We give our nasty thoughts about ourselves great power. Now, you can all blush because we do. People say nasty things to themselves all the time. It's unrealistic, but mostly not aware that we have nasty separating thoughts and fears. But if we just are willing to get into this denial of the power of it as being so important, we can be willing to look at them and say, I'm denying the power of that. We may not feel it go, but if we make the decision to let it go, it will eventually let go. We need to deny the power of the lies we tell ourselves based on the old teaching. We hear it all the time. I walk out where I live. I walk out into a dining room and sitting room area, and they've got the television on. And every minute I walk out there, they're talking about nasty stuff on the TV. They're reporting this, they're reporting that, they're reporting all the nasty stuff. It's unreal. And people are talking about it. You listen to the conversations that are going around. They're all about nasty stuff. And we have this constant blast of it. And so what we have to do is to deny the power of these nasty things we hear, deny the power of what we think, and deny the whole following up. Now, I've got a list here that I'm going to share with you, and we'll do this as part of the whole meditation idea. So can you just be sweet enough to close your eyes perhaps and listen, because we're going to do some denials and affirmations that are from part of the Unity course. And the first one is that denying is faith. I give no power to doubt and fear. I give no power to weakness, helplessness, or despair. I give no power to judgmental thoughts and feelings. I give no power to my judgmental thoughts and feelings. I give no power to other people's judgmental thoughts and feelings. I give no power to judgmental thoughts and feelings. I give no power to the thoughts and feelings of separation. Now, how often do we think about separation from other people, from what we want, from the life that we want to live? I give no power to thoughts and feelings of separation. I give no power to erroneous images of seeing myself as anything but perfect. Ooh. I give no power to erroneous images of seeing myself as anything but perfect. I give no power to thoughts and feelings based on sense consciousness. Then we can move into the affirmations. I have faith in divine mind. I have faith in oneness. I have faith in things invisible. I am strong in divine nature and in the strength of divine might. I have within me the divine nature and the divine strength to move me through any situation without feeling separate from creative energy. Everything I do, every movement I make, everything that happens, I am using and enjoying and appreciating and valuing creative energy in, through, and as me. Divine love manifests in me now. Divine love fills my heart and my soul is satisfied. When I find it hard to forgive someone or some situation, if I can turn to the creative energy within me of the divine creative energy of love, it can take care of the situation in my mind. Okay, creative energy, give me the new thought. Let me see that there is no separation. Let me enjoy this experience. I am the image and likeness of divine mind and am raised up into the consciousness of divine imagination, seeing spiritual perfection in, through, and as me and everyone now. we can allow the divine imagination to see the spiritual perfection in us before we can even think of it. We can call upon the power of imagination to bring to us the vision of spiritual perfection that is the truth of who we are. I am spirit, and I am wholly satisfied by the great flood of spiritual life that now fills my mind and body. We can feel it filling our mind and body right now. Let's spend a few moments in the silence, being aware of that amazing, expansive, creative energy moving us out of the old, limited, into the heaven of expansion in oneness. And so it is. And so we can truly affirm, I am an expression of the creative energy of the universe, of the universes, of the huge creative energy that exists within me and within all my friends, relatives, and all the people on planet Earth. I am one, and so it is, and so I let it be. Amen.
Wow. Thank you, Grace. Just what we needed, wasn't it? I invite you, before